Renovating a vintage workshop type steam engine. This is a very interesting engine. It's less of a model and more of a small full-sized engine. It's very heavily built and it looks like it's been commercially produced at some time in the past, although I can't be certain of this. I do not know when and where these engines were produced. I just know how to fix them. And this one does not look or feel like a model steam engine. It's very encouraging when looking at the mechanical condition of the bearings to find that they are in very good condition. I cannot detect any rattle on the big end bearing, and the crankshaft bearings are in very good condition too. At the other end of the connecting rod, on the crosshead at the small end, that is also in very good condition, with negligible play in the bearing. And for an engine of this age, this is most unusual. Time to see how it runs, and the first thing to do is to fill the lubricator with some steam oil, and then oil up around the engine, oiling all the moving parts. I do not want to build some wear into the engine, as it's not worn in the first place. When oiling up a steam engine, take your time. Do not miss any of the lubrication points. Any lubrication points that are missed will wear rapidly, and we don't want this to happen. Here you see me also putting some oil on the piston rod. So now the engine is nice and oily, let's see how it runs. What is encouraging is that the engine actually runs, and what is also encouraging is that there is not much run out on the flywheel, so the crankshaft doesn't appear to be bent. But listen to the sound of it. It's wheezing and struggling to turn over. There is something wrong. When I put my hand on the flywheel, there is no resistance and the engine immediately stops. And the amount of pressure that's going in at the moment is about 30 psi. And at 30 psi I should not be able to stop this engine. So it's time to have a look and see what the problem is. It's either going to be the piston seal or the slide valve. We'll start with the piston seal. And so with my usual receptacle in hand, it's time to take off the cylinder cover. I will speed up the video at this point just in case anyone slips into a coma. Once the cylinder cover's been removed, we can see the cylinder. I'll take this opportunity to get rid of some of the gasket material. By shining a light in the end of the cylinder, I see that the cylinder's not in bad condition at all, really. One thing that gives me a very mild cause for concern is all the nuts on this engine are not exactly tight. They're coming away very easily, as did the cylinder cover. Maybe someone's had a look inside this engine very recently. So now I've removed the slide bars and I'm just taking the valve link off. Once I've done that, I can remove the cylinder, lift the whole thing up and tap out the taper pin. If you're doing this, be very careful. I've done it many times. You do not want to drop the cylinder, you do not want to hit the thing too hard, and you certainly do not want to mark the crosshead by hitting it in the wrong place. Now it's been tapped through from the other side, the taper pin is very easy to remove. I'm only using a pair of pliers because the pliers are much smaller than my great big hands, so you can see what I'm doing. In this clip I'm removing the nuts from the other cylinder cover because the cylinder cover will be completely removed for cleaning. But for the moment I really need to look at the piston. I'm using a small hammer with the gentlest of pressure to tap the piston out. And here it is. And unsurprisingly, it has cast iron piston rings. So I now need to know whether these piston rings are a good fit in the bore. And the easiest way to do this is to stand the cylinder up on its end and fill the top of the cylinder with some very thin machine oil. In an ideal world, the machine oil should not run down the cylinder. I will show what happens in the next episode. For now, thanks for watching and I hope you found it useful.